Dr. Marcus here, Mike Hodgson, Console. So it looks like we have about 10% of the market using bypass ducts. And if we are, that's a significant portion of the market, right? And I understand the energy implications, and we're saying we're going to fix it by basically prohibit them from doing that. Why are they doing that? Are they doing it because they're getting a credit in energy efficiency? My guess is the answer is no. They've probably been sold a system by some HVAC or subcontractor or a manufacturer rep that says this does something. And I presume it's related to comfort. So if that's true and the market's responding to that, I mean 10% is a significant response, then the homeowner likes this for some reason. I'm not saying it's a good thing or bad thing. I'm just saying, why are they doing it? And my guess is it's not you're going to save, $45 a month on your air conditioning bill. It's a variety of reasons. Now, whether it's health related, don't know. Are there? So I'm thinking you're solving a problem here with a larger stick than possibly you need. I understand the energy implications, and so maybe the credit should become negative rather than positive. I'm just because I don't know why the market's doing this. And this is not and it's not an energy issue. And so I really think we should kind of dig a little deeper on this issue and say, why are you using a bypass? Is it because you've been sold this as a healthier home, or you have asthma and allergies, and this ventilation system helps filter the air more? I don't know the answer. I'm making that up. So, but this is not one or two houses. This is 10%.
So what you're saying is to not make it a prescriptive requirement, but make it that you can't put in a duct because they could be putting it in for a non-energy reason. But instead you just deal with the energy part by making the credit negative or something like that.
My concern, Martha, is I don't know why people are doing this, and the result of the recommendation is bypass ducts should be prohibited. Right. I understand it from an energy standpoint. You guys have data to say, 30,000 sensible loads going down to 5. That's silly. But there may be another motivation for the people who want to do this. Obviously, it's not energy. I doubt if they're being sold the energy story here, right? If it's not, then there may be a health issue. There may be other issues that people are. I don't know why people buy the system. So I think a little bit of exploration. And then if it sounds like there is a market segment that's responding, 10% is a big market segment, then say, okay, this is an energy loser. And an energy loser needs to be penalized, and then you penalize it.
Interesting idea.
Yeah, so just different option. I don't know the answer to that, but my concern is anytime you start dealing with that big of a market segment, and we don't know what we're doing with it or why it's responding that way. I mean, if we said we had 10% cool roofs at 0.3, I mean, that's a huge number, right? We'd all get excited about that.
Oh, yeah.
We're saying 10% with bypass ducts, and we don't know why they're there.
Well, so you could guess, right? You could get one of the reasons they're putting in zonal systems is because they're getting advertised as energy efficient and comfort improvements, right?
I think I can answer the question, actually.
Okay.
The reason why the bypass is in there is because of the velocity and noise. If you didn't have it and you made no other adjustments.
I mean, the ducts are undersized?
Yeah, meaning you can't put 400 CFM or 350 CFM per ton through half a system. You can't even put it through a whole system in California, but you certainly can't put it through half a system. And there are other options that Bruce mentioned, and that is to have some of it basically have some spillage into the other zone, and the other zone still has some load. So there are other and better options than the bypass, and I don't think the customers sold the bypass. The customers sold the zoning.
Right.
And they don't even know there's a bypass. They've never been up to their attic and seen it and wondered what the heck it was.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I just look.
Mike Cable. But looking at the data, though, it looks like to give it the proper penalty, it would be really complicated. I'm concerned that actually if you don't model the way the system is going to function in some reasonable way, you're actually not going to give them enough of a penalty in many cases. So I'm actually concerned that that's actually a real problem to implement Mike's idea. Mike's idea conceptually makes sense. To actually implement that, in my eye, looks kind of hard. I don't know if you want to comment on that, Bruce. Or...
Yeah, I have never thought about doing it this way, but it seems inherently more difficult. But maybe it's you know, if Mike thinks it's a good idea, then we should look at it. Yeah.
I mean, going by what John said, that it is basically an attempt to get around the problem of having too much air in half the ducts. Seems like there are other solutions to that rather than having a negative credit. Any other questions or comments? We kind of need to, we're only about an hour behind schedule here. So.
George knows, but just quickly wanted to say, fan coils are just like any other air handler. There's no issue with airflow other than design. But the high velocity systems are by design a lower CFM per ton, and how that works with efficiency and reality. And I actually duct tested a system I installed, and it appeared to be horrendously leaky, even though I sealed every single stinking seam, joint, intersection, connection, blah, blah, blah. So it kind of posed some interesting questions.
Well, I'm not going to comment on his comment on my comment, but
You're not?
no. But I just want to make one comment that you should look at is that the green code now is requiring manual J, D, and S ACA calculations. And once it finally gets into the system, that people actually are going to start looking for that stuff, and your systems actually are designed more correctly, some of these problems might not be as big a problem if people really do put in the system at least that they designed to.
Okay, thank you, Pat. So any questions online?
Are you there?
This is Anirudh Roy with the Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration Institute. Can everyone hear me?
If you speak louder, it'd be nicer.
Okay, this is Anirudh Roy with the Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration Institute.
It's a lot better, thanks.
Okay, sure. We submitted our comments to both Bruce as well as CEC with respect to some of our concerns on the way the test setup was conducted, or the test was set up, and that could have, also affected the results. And also, we provided some studies which showed that there are energy savings associated with zoning. One of them was the NAHB study that was referenced in Bruce's presentation. We do have some concerns with respect to the current presentation, today's presentation, and would like to submit further comments after we get it reviewed by our members. I know the deadline says July 25th, but we would appreciate some more time on providing those comments.
Actually, we're allowing people to submit comments by August 5th, if that's possible.
Okay, because earlier in the call I heard August 12th for some reason. So.
Well, there is if you really need, our preference is August 5th.
Uh-huh.
But if you must have until August 12th, by all means.
Okay. Yeah, we'll try and submit them by the deadline, August 5th. But if not, definitely by August 12th, you'll hear from us.
So, you mentioned there might be energy savings associated with zonal controls. Are you specifically talking about the bypass duct system or the other strategies to achieve zonal controls?
We're mainly talking about the fact that this whole zoning credit that has been offered. The manufacturers feel that zoning is a way to retrieve or to get energy savings, and that's where we sent in our comments we sent those two studies which explain exactly, which have all the details on how the energy savings can take place.
Yeah, again,
it's a combination of bypass as well as the zoning system.
Okay. So we appreciate your comments again by those deadlines.
Sure.
Any other comments?
Few comments and questions from Craig Messmer. What is the prescriptive airflow requirements for SDHV system?
Say it again.
SDHV system, prescriptive airflow requirements?
So we don't understand what HDHB is. If the commenter can clarify that.
We'll go back to that.
HVAC.
HVAC maybe it was?
Might have been a typo.
So what's the prescriptive requirement? Is that what the question was?
Airflow requirements.
Prescriptive requirement is 350 CFM per nominal ton in cooling mode.
350, right? Any other questions?
Another question from Craig Messmer. In your example for House 41, you mentioned mild and maximum bypass. How would you define mild and maximum?
How do I go? Keep going. One more, I think. One more. Right there. I'd have to figure out which one of these, this is John Proctor, I'd have to figure out which one of these is House 41, but it appears to me that roughly a 27% bypass was mild and something between 40 and 45% was maximum.
And a comment from Craig Messmer. Zoning for modulating capacity systems should still get a credit. Your presentation speaks mostly about single capacity units. Multi-capacity equipment will almost always show an increased efficiency if you have to limit zoning only to do it for single capacity equipment.
And that's a kind of comment we've heard from others. Thank you. Any other?
Greg Herod asks, would dump zones be prohibited along with bypasses? Dump zones?
This is John Proctor. The unfortunate definition of a dump zone is a zone that's unconditioned and you throw your capacity away by putting it into a dump zone, which seems to me just about as equally stupid as the bypass. There's no reason that we shouldn't put that conditioning into space that's normally conditioned. So it doesn't outlaw dump zones, but probably it should.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Any other questions?
Thomas Trimberger. People are using bypass because they have been sold a piece of trash. As shown, zoning can be used without bypass. It's been sold for years in commercial and residential, and it's trash. Just ban it.
Well, thank you, Tom, for sugarcoating your comments. I appreciate it.
That's it.
That's it? Okay.
Hi, grade, all Building Performance Institute. I'd like to commend the Commission on taking really what's the next step in the code. You've done all the fruit on the ground, now you're going up to the fruit that's off the ground. And it's going to require a lot of support in the contractor community for actually being able to do some of their own measurements and diagnostics. Unfortunately for California, Building Performance Institute actually has professionals out throughout the state now with over 2,000 BPI certifications that can do everything from the ACH measurements for the blower door testing, blower door guided air sealing, and even the duct testing. So that's a support mechanism that hasn't been there in the past, that is certainly available to building contractors all throughout the state now. That's it.
Thank you, Tiger. Appreciate it. I want to really move on.
Yeah,
one more comment.
Building on the last comment, not Tiger's, but the previous, perhaps we should look at not just omitting the bypass duct, but just a bypass damper wherever it's dumping in case they decide to put the unit in a return air plenum of some kind.
Okay. All right, then let's move on to the next and again, I don't want to discourage people from commenting on this. You just have to do it in writing to us by the deadline.